Hey guys, what's happening? Today we are going to graph square root functions and cube root functions. So let's go ahead and get this copied down and we'll get this over with. Alright, so let's just take a look at the square root functions first. Let's just say I give you something like this. I'll say y equals the square root of x. All right, I guess the first thing we can do is just make a t-chart and see what it looks like. Okay, so make a t-chart real quick. All right, so I usually, whenever I'm doing any graphing, I typically do something like this. Okay, those are just basic values of x that we're going to plug into the function and see what happens. I could take a couple negative, I take a couple positive, and I have 0 in the middle. That's typically what you've probably seen me do before. Okay, so let's plug in -2. All right, plug in -2. What's the square root of -2? It's imaginary. Okay, it doesn't, we're not gonna, I guess undefined is probably the wrong thing to say. We could just say, I guess your calculator would say error. I'll just put one of these things. Okay, can't do it. All right, -1, can't take the square root, you get I. Okay, so we're not gonna use that either. All right, let's plug in 0. Square root of 0, there you go, we could do that, 0, okay. Plug in 1. Square root of 1, that is 1. Okay. Plug in 2. What's the square root of 2? That's a decimal. Okay. So if you have something like that, you don't need to put 2. Let's just change that to something you do know how to take the square root of, like a 4. Okay. What's the square root of 4? That's 2. All right. And so we'll go ahead and we'll graph this. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just plot these 3 points right here. 0, 0. 1, 1, and 4, 2. And you'll notice you get not a straight line, it's actually a curve. And it's going to look like that. And it will continue in that direction forever and ever and ever. Okay? And if you wanted to plot more points, that's cool. What's another good number you could choose after 4? Okay, that's right. You could choose 9 because you know the square root of 9 is 3. So try to choose numbers that you could actually take the square root of. Okay. All right, let's talk about the domain and the range. Okay, so the domain, of course, is all of the x values that you can use. Okay, or all of the x values that you could plug into this function. Well, look at it. What x values were we not able to plug in? Negative values, right? Okay, so you could say the domain is x is all positive values, but that wouldn't be entirely accurate because 0 is a value as well that you could plug in. So you can just say that x has got to be greater than or equal to 0. You can plug in any number that's greater than or equal to 0, and that's your domain. Okay, what can you not plug in? You cannot plug in negative numbers. Okay, so you could say that x cannot be less than 0. Okay. All right, and then let's talk about the range. The range is all of the y values. And so basically, if you look at the graph, if you plug in anything greater than 0 for x, or greater than or equal to 0 for x, look at what you get for the y values. You get everything greater than or equal to 0 as well for the y values. Remember, the y goes up and down. There's nothing lower than 0. Okay, so for the range, the y is also going to be greater than or equal to 0. All right, let's try another one. I want to show you guys something. Okay, how about we do something like this? Y equals the square root of x plus 3 and then plus 2. All right, so let's just make a t-chart. And in a second, I'll have you guys use your calculator. But for right now, let's just make a t-chart just to get our hands dirty a little bit. All right. Again, like I like to plug in -2, -1, all that stuff. But if you look up here, what was the first one that I was able to use? It was 0, 0, right? Okay. So let's try to start off by getting a 0 in this radical. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not. But watch. If I start with -3, watch what I get. -3 plus 3, that's 0. And the square root of 0 is 0. So -3 is a great place to start because that sets our radical here at 0. Okay, so -3 plus 3 is 0. The square root of 0 is 0. And now just add 2. 0 plus 2 is 2. All right, let's try -2. Okay, we'll plug in -2. Notice I'm climbing up the ladder. I'm climbing out of those negatives into the positive realm. Okay, all right, so -2 plus 3, that's 1. Oh, good. The square root of 1 is 1. Plus 2, that's 3. All right. What number should I plug in next? Remember the next number I plugged in here was 4 because I could take the square root of 4. So I want to try to get a 4 in here. So what number plus 3 gives me 4? That's a 1. Good. So I'll plug in a 1 right here. 1 plus 3 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay. For some reason that doesn't seem right to me, but I don't know. Let's go ahead and graph it. Yeah, something about that does not seem right, but maybe it's right. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking too hard. Okay, let's go ahead and graph it. We should get a shape that looks just like this. Okay, so that's one way I'll know if we did it right. So let's try it. -3, 1, 2, 3, plus 2, 1, 2. Oh yeah, I think this will turn out okay. All right, -2, comma 3. So 1, 2, and up 1, 2, 3. So that's right here. All right, and then 1, comma 4. 1, comma 4. Oh yeah, we still get that curvy shape, and it's always going to start here and go like that. Okay, now I don't know if you noticed something. This shape is exactly the same as that shape, but what happened to it? It shifted, didn't it? It shifted from 0, 0, it shifted -3 places and up 2. Do you guys see a -3 and an up 2 anywhere? Look at that. Here's our x, h opposite. You remember that? H opposite. K, keep it the same. So if you have h opposite, that's a -3. K, keep it the same, that's a +2. That's your 1, 2, -3, and up 2. Look at that. That's a good thing to know, okay? All right, now let's find our domain. X is going to be greater than, remember it's everything to the right of this number, -3, but also equal to -3. So x is greater than or equal to -3. And let's do the range. If you look at it, it's going up. So everything greater than that point, greater than or equal to that point. Okay, so that's the y values are going to be greater than or equal to +2. All right, now let's use our calculator for one real quick. I'm just going to do this. Y equals -2 times, and I'll do the same one, x plus 3, okay, and then plus 2, why not? Okay, so let me grab my calculator. We'll see what happens here. Clear all this stuff here. Let me go to y equals, I'll clear that. So I have -2, okay, times the square root of x plus 3. All right, and then plus 2. All right, let's graph it, see what happens. Whoa, that's so weird. What the heck? Why do you think it did that? Let's talk about it. Okay, look at all the other graphs I have. Notice they have that curve. This has a curve, but look at it. Doesn't it seem like it's going in a different direction? Kind of flipped, didn't it? It used to be facing up this way, and now it's down this way, flipped. What do you think caused that? That's right, that negative right there. That -2 caused it, okay? So basically, let's see if we could do this kind of using our graph, okay? This -2 is kind of a scale factor. It stretches it or shrinks it, okay? But let me just show you something really quick. You can easily do this, okay? You know that h opposite, k keep it the same, right? So we know that our starting point, this point right here, is going to be -3, comma 2. So just do this, 1, 2, 3, comma 1, 2, okay? All right, and here's the easy part. If you don't have to be too specific or too detailed, watch this. This negative made the graph flip upside down. So watch this. I'm just going to go ahead and, okay, now that's not the most accurate graph, okay, but it's pretty good considering if we want the domain and range, we can easily look at that and find it, okay? Obviously, if you want a t-chart, you know how to do that. Just hit the second and table, and there's your t-chart, okay? So you don't really need to worry about it. You can always plot points, no problem. But let's talk about the domain and range, okay? The domain, well, the x value, what's the x value right here? That's -3. And look, it goes to the right, so x is everything greater than or equal to -3, just like on that one. But if you look here, look at the range. The y values are going lower than that point. So in this case, the y is going to be less than or equal to that point, which is 2. Okay? All right, so that's square root. Let's do cubed root. Okay, part B, cubed root. or cube root. All right, and let me just write down a very simple one. Example, y equals the cubed root of x. All right, and so this is what I'll do as always. I'm going to go ahead and x comma y. I'm just going to do like -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. All right, and those numbers will probably change. All right, let's just start in the middle with the easy one, 0. What's the cube root of 0? Good, that's 0. All right, what's the cube root of 1? That's 1. Okay, 1 times 1 times 1 gives you 1. Let's plug in the -1. What's the cube root of -1? All right, now if you said 1 or plus and minus 1, you might need to rethink that, okay? It's going to be -1. Keep in mind, -1 times -1 times -1, that gives you -1, okay? +1 times +1 times +1, that gives you +1. Okay, so when we're dealing with the cubed roots, you got to pay attention to the signs there. All right, now what's the cubed root? If I plug in -2, what's the cubed root of -2? That one doesn't really work. Can you guys think of a perfect cube that I might be able to use? All right, that's right, it's 8. So I could do -8 and +8. And so the cubed root of -8 is -2, and the cubed root of +8 is +2. Let's go ahead and graph this. All right, -8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and -2. That's this guy right here. Okay, -1, -1, that's right here, and 0, 0, and then we have +1, and then 8, comma 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, comma 2. Now if you look, it definitely goes that way, but it's not a straight line, it's a curve. It's kind of like 2 square root curves back to back, isn't it? Kind of makes a lazy S. Okay? All right. So let's quickly talk about the domain. Okay, what x values was I able to use? I'm able to use everything. Okay, so you can say all real numbers, all right, if you wanted to. Let's talk about the range. Okay, it's going on forever and ever. It's going on forever and ever. It looks like it's going forever to the right and forever to the left. It's also going up and down forever too. So the range is all real. Okay, all real numbers. All right, now I'm running out of time. I got that 15-minute limit. So let me just show you one more thing. Okay, what if I have something like this? Y equals, how about the negative cube root of, I'll do that, x plus 3 and then plus 2. Okay? Let's see if we could figure this out without doing anything. Okay? Remember that h opposite k keep it the same thing? Let's do that. Ready? We have this. All right, so h opposite, k keep it the same. That's going to give us this middle part right here. Okay? So it's -3, so go to 1, 2, 3, and k keep it the same. 1, 2, put a dot right there. Okay? Now it's going to look just like this. It's going to put right through there. But watch, this negative, what does that do? That's right, it flips it. So now it's going to go this way. All right, it's going to be flipped upside down. Okay, and watch, if you don't believe me, check this out. Let me clear this. I'll go back to this, clear it. Okay, it probably won't be too convincing, but anyway, negative, let's see, I'll do a cubed root like this. Watch this. X plus 3 to the power of 1/3, right? 1 divided by 3, okay? And then plus 2, and let me graph it. Oh, there it is, look at that, just as predicted, okay? All right, so we still got that same shape. All right, let's talk about the domain. The domain, all real numbers. X is all real numbers. X is all real, and the range, same thing with Y. Y is all real. All right, hopefully that was helpful. If you need anything, just send me an email and I'll be happy to Zoom with you. Peace.